So thank you. Thank you for being with us. The song, for those folks watching online, we usually play a song before we launch live around the world, but then they tend to want to know what the song was. It was the OJ's Love Train, okay? What? Wasn't it? Oh, okay. It was funny. Okay. Yeah, it was, right? Um, what they're doing, folks online, the locals, knowing my aging and being 90 now, they tease me and make it like they don't know what I'm saying, but it all works out. Um, so let's give me a couple of examples of what you'd like me to talk about today. However, before you do, a couple of key words, please, just a couple this time. But try to, try not to be too arbitrary. Funnel, landscape, fire hydrant. Like sometimes, we just throw these words to see if I'll do it. So something really, really important to you, always, but I'm saying that today too. Something real important to your heart, weighing heavy or something, it's just something waiting to click, a light bulb. What's the topic? Stop it. What? Yeah, rapid fire. What happened to the words a few? A few things. Yeah, we got that one. Relations, got it. And what's that? What was the one a second ago? Triggers. Okay. I can tell you some right now. Okay. Yes. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Okay. So amazing to me because the world still, a lot of people in this world actually still think that this world has something to offer. Great way to start, huh? And that's going to progressively cause people more misery, putting value in something that's not valuable. Let's say, for example, I sold like a really valuable item to you for $10,000 and it's worth $100,000 and you pay your $10,000, but you find out it's worth $10. You feel that like what a person would feel, betrayed, deceived. You brought up deception, thrown under the bus and all those other feelings. Please understand that's what this world is doing. It's exactly what Buddha taught when he said life is suffering. This is a place that will promise to give you something it cannot give you, and you will suffer for it because you've put your value onto something that is valueless. And actually, that's quantum physics. This is a hologram. Oh, but rainbows and unicorns, they are a hologram. Not my children, they're a hologram. Not my life mate, my soulmate, hologram. You brought up relationships. Hologram. Okay, fine. I guess that I'll just be invested in nothing and I'll just have no fun and no. That's not it. Don't get invested in it. See it for what it is. Can you be happy to meet your soulmate? Well, first of all, let me say something about that. What's this thing with people and soulmates? If they're your soulmate, why do you keep talking about their buns? Why do you keep talking about their hot legs and their looks? You should only be saying, I don't even know what they look like because I only see their soul. So stop contradicting. I met my soulmate. They're so great looking. And then you fall out of love with them when they don't look the same. What happened? Come on. See, come on. It's like humans. Oh, don't get me started. Be real. We're We are part of God and we are very holy. And it's okay to talk soulmate. I'm not saying that's a problem. It's okay to talk relations and how much you love unicorns and rainbows. It's great. But the more invested and deceived you are by it, the more you'll crash. Buddha saying, you're going to suffer for it. Well, why? Why was he so negative about this? Because if the world does offer you something or seem to, even if it can offer you something, he says, Buddha says, it's going to change or leave you, and then you'll be upset. Jesus is explaining in A Course in Miracles another step to it, which is it's not even there. So as soon as you start to fall in love with something, the greater you knows that something isn't even there. So you're already upset, as even when you're starting off elated to find your twin or whatever you want to do, or have a child, or whatever you do that you think is great. You're already on borrowed time because they're not actually there. So how do you fix that? Do you just go into this delusion that they're there? No. What you can do is, I do love unicorns and I love my child. And I'm happy to have met my soulmate. To stay sane, all you have to do is say, and this is just the beginning. I can't wait to get to know the light behind them. Child, the light behind them. Soulmate, the light behind them. Unicorns, the light behind them. Sunsets, the light behind it. God is hidden behind the images, the things. Just go for the gusto. Mucho gusto. Right? Go for the gusto. It brings you what you're really looking for, and then you can affirm in the greatest of mantras, plátanos frijos, cool bananas. I've made it. I got it. Yes, because you're not left attached to a thing, flesh, that'll die or leave. The light behind it. I saw someone do something recently that, is sort of not wise to do, but for a long time I saw them not do that thing. Let's say it's drinking. Let's say that they were 40 years clean and sober, but they fell off the wagon and drank this week. I would not tell them you failed the 40-year process. What I would say is the 40 years you didn't is perfect. It's great. Own that. Soak it in. Nice job. Now, a mistake becomes something I need to correct as soon as possible, not something that ruins the other 40 years. Does that make sense? So don't let this world do that thing to you, because it sets you up. Hey, look at this. Then it goes, now get attached to it. Then it says, and now it's gone. I made you miserable again. You have to become the person that says, it is impossible to make me miserable like that again, because everything is a victory. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do it at 2 a.m. because that's a magical time, and the veil is thinnest between the spiritual world and the material world, between 2 and 4, and 2 and 3 actually, but some people like to go to 4. So between 2 and 3, there's this beautiful time to meditate. I'm going to do it. At 2, you push the snooze button, you forgot to put it back, and you hit the off instead, and you slept through your meditation. You could say, I messed up, or you could say, I see what I did, and I'm already succeeding because I see what I did. And in fact, what I'm going to do now is do a 30-second meditation instead of the 30-minute one I was planning to do, because now I'm late for work. 30 seconds, bam, and I got it. Make everything, shorten that loop of big learning, shorten it, tighten it up. Turn it into, I got it. Refuse the failures of this world, the constant attempt for this world to say, hey, you like this? And then pull the rug out from under you. And there are people that'll play that role. Narcissists, psychopaths, etc. People that will play along and almost, hey, isn't life great? And then pull the rug out from under you. That's going to happen. And I would suggest, okay, let me own the positives. Those cannot be touched. And then what can I learn from the seeming negatives? And by the way, the ultimate of this owning and learning process is that God itself, our relationship with God itself. Even though we came here finding ourselves flawed, judging ourselves as flawed, and then learning the forgiveness process to release ourselves, it's kind of beautiful and kind of amazing because we can do the same thing I just described, which is the good news is this has never had a real and permanent effect on me. Coming to this world, becoming a nutcase, a murderer, lifetimes of infidelity and all the things we do, causing pain to others and ourselves, being pained by others, none of that affects your divinity. See, it's the same thing. When you don't let something get the best of you today, some common everyday occurrence, you're doing a microcosm of what we should be doing, the big picture, which is nothing in this world, not just this little thing today, nothing in this world has the ability to remove, tarnish, affect, break my divinity. Secondly, however, today or in the big picture, wow, I've certainly had some strange lessons while I've been here. And I'm going to get it. I'm going to make a choice to absorb those lessons. There's this constant, we feel like we're walking in darkness. You know, when people say, where's my soulmate? When they say, where's my soul's purpose? What's the economy going to look like tomorrow? Those are all statements and questions, or an illness. Where's this from? What can I do about it? Those are all really statements of, I feel like I'm in darkness. Why else would you be asking? It's because people feel like they're in darkness. So how do we know when we're walking in the light of God? How do we know we're kind of not just on the spiritual path, which, you know, has some more direct connections to spirit and some others that are more horizontal? But how do we know we're walking in the light of God? This is a great point. When I was a kid, I loved music that had spiritual depth. You know, I've said it 1,000 times. You know, Earth, Wind, and Fire was like, they were like my spiritual teachers, man. You know, they were just so deep all the time, like deep stuff. But also Black Sabbath. Oh, weren't they into evil? No, they weren't. That's why they wore crosses. They wore crosses because one of their dads said, you guys are singing against evil, so evil's going to try to get you. You need to all wear crosses. But they played it up and it was heavy metal, so it naturally sounded kind of evil. But I saw a critic once reviewing the band, and they said, basically, Black Sabbath can be summed up as follows. If you're not walking in the light of the Lord, then Satan is definitely pulling your strings. And I thought, wow, a critic can get it. You know, anybody should be able to get it. That's what's really happening here. Don't listen to rumors about, dark and evil. Not at all. Their lyrics were about, go to God. Now, they were a little bit more traditional, religious, more than spirituality, but that's where they came from. Old school, more like old school religion. So it was like walking in the light of the Lord and Satan. They would use those words in their songs, but it was anti-darkness. Now, we learn today a different way to say that. Instead of walk in the light of the Lord, Satan's pulling your strings. Just say it this way. We are always walking in the light of God, but our stuff keeps us from seeing it. Okay, fair enough? So it isn't whether you're walking in the light or not, it's whether you see it or not. Well, so let's put it this way. Are there signs? Are there ways to walk more in the light of God? We talked about last week the gifts of the Divine Mother. That's one way to plug in more to walk in the light. But are there signs and symptoms of walking in the light of God? I'd like some reassurance. I'd like, a definite clarity that I'm kind of going the right direction. So kind of, tune into a handful of thoughts about this. The greatest teachers and teachings would say, peace, a feeling of peace, is one symptom that you are walking in the light of God. You could actually be walking to your own execution, plugged into God, and this event would not bother you. Now, you might not be fully at that point yet. I can barely walk into a divorce and not be completely triggered, let alone execution, and they're kind of the same. Right? But I am a holy child of God, made in God's image. Would God be affected by somebody saying, I don't like you? By saying, you look like you've gained weight? By saying, your partner left you because you're a mean person, or whatever it is that people could say to hurt your feelings. What would that mean to God? Jesus was an example of hearing all kinds of Buddha. There's examples in the story of Buddha's life, where people were rude and attacked. And it's the spiritual water off a duck's back. It's like, it doesn't land. Look at a child that's 6 months old and say, you look like you've gained weight. Does that child care what you just said? Not even remotely, because it's not yet in the program of, here's what that means, and here's what we're saying, and you have an ego to protect. See? But at some point, while on earth, these things are said, they hurt, they trigger, then another one builds and another one builds. They start having meanings, and then the meanings start having patterns of meaning. Anytime someone questions me at all, it rubs up against the big pattern of low self-worth. Nobody likes me, or whatever the big patterns are. Little events start having significant meaning, because those little events light up the bigger wounds that I've collected over my years. So the first symptom of walking in the light of God is to feel peace, not get peace. Well, I would feel peace as soon as everything's going my way. That's trying to get peace. Feeling a sense of immunity to the world, a sense of immunity to what people think of you. Peace is the opposite of conflict. And there's conflict from others outside in our lives, but there's also in here. So peace would not mean I finally got it from someone. Peace would mean I finally get it, and I choose not to be conflicted. When I say it's a nice day, oh yeah, but there's a rain cloud. So why did you have to do that? Why create conflict? Why create, yeah, but? Can't things just be great? They can. Well, that's not being very practical. No, because if something does happen, for example, there's certain places you could go, and you can go to the beach and get some sun. And some of these places, it rains every day for an hour. You can say, well, the rain ruined my getting sun. Did it? You look tanner than when you started. Oh, yeah, but then a cloud came in. What did you do? That's when you should go in and get a bite to eat and then come back out when the sun comes out again. Like, just groove with it, move with it as best we can, But be careful not to let other people take your peace away. First of all, they actually don't have the power to do that. You're fabricating a story. I could be at peace if it weren't for you. That's so easy. Which is easier? I would be feeling the complete presence of God if it weren't for you. How long did that take for me to come up with a solution? It's you. And then there's another route. I would be feeling peace today, except for, well, hold on. And you go inside and you start saying, what's triggering me today? Where's that coming from? What patterns is that rubbing up against? And so on and so on. That takes work. And it also takes grief, because now I'm looking at patterns in my life. Oh, thanks a lot. You reminded me of my mother never liking me. And now I'm having to go back to that stuff. You see? And then she called 10 minutes later. And now I'm really irritated. Thanks. So you introduced me to the spiritual path? I'm pretty sure it's more the path of pain. God would want me to be happy. I read that somewhere. Oh, I remember some book that said, God wants your happiness. You know when I feel happy? When I just blame somebody else for my stuff. And that feels better. My problems are because of you. Wow, I can already breathe easier. It's an illusion. Because in the spontaneous moments of today, that were created yesterday, spontaneous moments of today, I will not feel peace, and I won't know why. And it's because of unresolved stuff. It's I judged myself or someone else as something that it isn't. Flawed, weak, whatever it happens to be. Do I have to remember where, when, how, and who I did that with? No, I don't. I mean, we're so spoiled. You know, God says, I don't even need you to remember when it happened. Just own that it's a possibility. You know? Okay, that's called being vulnerable. I don't remember, but I know. I must have participated in something. How do I know? Because I'm not feeling peace. And there's other feelings too, joy, but start off with tranquility. I feel agitated. That came from somewhere. Well, you know, it's because I ate something with gluten. No, it isn't. It is not. Well, it inflames my nerve endings and my brain, and science proves it. And according to, all these tests and studies on YouTube, it's not me. And do you know who created all those studies? Your ego, to prove that nothing is your responsibility. Jeez, people. Anyway, God. So you don't have to choose peace. You can do the opposite. It's very easy. Just keep doubting yourself, and you have conflict. I think this, but I don't know if it should have been that. And one of the only teachings, A Course in Miracles, covers this. One of the only teachings that covers this and says, human beings are often depressed or agitated, and they don't know that it's because underneath it, they're making decisions and they think that they have two things or more to choose between. Should I stay or should I go? This job, that job. And why? Because we're seeing with two eyes. And so everything needs to be dualistic. And duality, you can never win. Because if I choose this, I wonder what that would have been like. And if I choose this, yeah, but. And that's, you're never allowed to be at peace. At some point, we learn to say with one eye, there's only one decision that most resonates with peace. You come to me, I'm not coming to you. Do you resonate with this? And the stuff will start kind of peeling off. The outer images will start peeling off. I'm waiting for something to come to me in my center, rather than me chasing stuff of this world. Thank you. The peace of God. Wow. And so the foundation that prints A Course in Miracles called themselves the Foundation for Inner Peace, because they knew this is the whole point. It's all about the peace of God. So we don't have to talk about other words, but yes, we do. Because the peace of God might be something we can all relate to, but it might still be weak for you. So let's talk about some other signs of walking in the light of God, so that if peace is a little weak, you might catch on some, recognize some that aren't so weak. Areas that are, strong. Areas you've worked on a bit more. Another area of a sign of walking in the light of God is words. Your words would be more positive, less gossip, less negativity, and, more positive. Things that come through, like, let me speak as God would speak if God were here right now. Really? So let's imagine that. Would God go, well, I wanted to get some sun today, man, but rain clouds. Jeez, I'm such a victim. God would say, if I'm in the mood to get sun, move aside, clouds. Yeah, but you can't just move clouds with your words. You can. That's another story. But why don't you remember that you can say, no clouds? Not today. Why don't we know that I'm not interested in choices between this and that with my partnerships? Can this be here or not? Well, they're really messed up, but they're so cute. That should not be an option. I mean, how did that end up an option? And some of us go, well, I would never do that. Oh, I'm so beyond that. Oh man, look at they're cute. And then they just fly in under the radar into your susceptibilities. I mean, some of you have shared these stories where it's like, I was never, Michael, I need counseling. I was never, ever going to give into unhealthy, but they did yoga, and it's like, so you have a dysfunctional yogi. How's that helpful? Bring it here. Does this resonate with this? And unfortunately for us, sometimes it takes a little time to find out if it's real here or if it's fraud here. Oh, I don't want to wait that long. You'll get what you paid for. If you can't put some time into cleaning it up, then you're going to end up with the karmic response of that. But your words should be changing, bridging, looking for commonality. God, there are people that just look for differences. So, what do you think about that election? So, what do you think about, do you wear mask? No mask. It's like you're just looking for an argument. They're just looking for an argument. Remember how we had an estate sale out in the parking lot last year or 2 years ago, whatever, and everything was such a hullabaloo around, vaccinations and this and that and the other. And so people are charged around that. And this one guy shows up wearing a gun, and he had a shirt with a middle finger on it. And people are just like, oh, he's definitely a Republican, man. Look at him. You can tell by his haircut, and just dreaming judgments up in their heads. Now, this is fun. For me, I'm like, this is going to be fun. And his shirt was like a middle finger and it said, don't tell me what to wear, whatever, right? So I walk over and I stood next to him and he's, and I kind of get close. I go, you're supposed to wear a mask. And he turns with his rehearsed speech and I just smiled and then he laughed and then I laughed. How you doing, man? Good. Okay. And bridged with him. The guy that was waiting for someone to attack him, and he could then justify his retaliation, he just got laughter, smile. I'm not saying that's exactly how you should do it. You should do it based on what is right for you. For you, it might have been a prayer. For you, it might have been, to sit with some friends and say, this intimidates me, or to look at your buttons that are getting put, whatever you need to do. But are you bridging? Or are you just finding flaws with people and backing away from them? How can anyone find God? And it is up to us. We're the hands, feet, eyes, ears. We're God here bringing each other home. If we say, well, I would like to help you, but that shirt with the middle finger, nope, to hell you go. And what if somebody else thinks that pink shirts should all go to hell? And you're wearing a pink shirt. I mean, where do you draw the line? No, but my judgments are righteous. See? Yeah, they are. They righteously brought you to hell with the person that you condemned. So it's got to clean up, man. You just notice your words, the positivity. Is it there? Learning to kind of have, and some of these things I'm sharing examples of, they're going to clearly overlap, but just getting to a place where I get it. If I'm walking in the light of God, I should feel more peace. My words should start becoming a bit more bridging, positive, and so on. And when you have this happen, and everybody's probably had it at least once, a really unexpected bridging. Someone you thought was completely going to go off on you, and you bridged. Someone, I'm going to tell you everything I don't like about you. And then, to respond with, yeah, I am that way sometimes. What? Oh, so you admit it? Yeah, I see that sometimes. Oh, well, I didn't mean always. I just meant, sometimes you can be, yeah, I can sometimes. You see? And if you're a beginner, even if you've been into spirituality for 50 years, you're a beginner if you start to think that I'm not going to apologize. That's negative reinforcement. Some people out there never say, I'm sorry, because that gives you a lower vibration, blah, 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 blah. They're just living in hell. These are children of God waiting for someone to see them as divine. When I tell you something I may have done, even if I don't think I did it, I can have the courage. Do you know what it takes in a soul to be able to say, even if I think I'm right, sorry about that. That wasn't my intention. You see? Oh, but you're a man, you're a dad, you're a CEO, you're a spiritual leader. The reasons that you should never put yourself down into a lowly apology. There are people that believe that. And I'm like, I don't agree. Right? I don't agree. Some of the best bridging I've ever done was to drop a moment, for a moment to drop and say, oops, my bad. Even when somebody bumped into me, it wasn't me bumping into them. Oh, sorry about that. It means I'm so aware of who I am, I can afford to seem to have made a mistake. It doesn't hurt me. Do you know who I am? That's what we're saying to the universe. When you think that an apology lowers you, you're already low. You're just affirming it. You think that by not doing this and by not giving in and by not doing a mask or doing whatever people are telling you to do, that it lowers you. Man, to thine own divine self be true. People, the big lessons out of all this is back off, bridge. If someone needs a shot, just say, good job. Glad you did that for yourself. When someone's telling you, I'm going to need to do chemo, don't tell them all the reasons they shouldn't do chemo. Just say it. Does that feel right for you? Support them in where they're believing. Oh, no. I read in Prevention Magazine, so I know. They need to hear me tell them they're wrong. Really? Because that's what's making them sick. Having heard too many people tell them they're wrong. Bring them healing by letting them know that nothing of this world has greater power than they do. I'm so glad that you chose to go back to school. And my parents said I wasted my education because I'm trying for a different degree. And I don't really care what your parents have to say about it. I'm glad you're doing that. I chose to do this in my life. I chose to do that. We're not always happy and proud of our decisions, but support people, because when you're with them on it, I'm not saying enable them. Just let them feel your presence is there. And the presence is sometimes, yes, go for it. And sometimes it's, I don't suggest you do that, because that's a pattern of yours. Sometimes you're teaching. Never hate them and be present with love as best you can. Doing that removes the emphasis being on stuff of the outside world. And when you focus on the inside world, people realize they're greater than they thought they were based on the outside world. You're helping people find who they are by bridging with them. The guy with the gun and the shirt and all that. I don't suspect that he went home and said, I'm having visions of Christ consciousness now. What I do know is he felt differently. Someone didn't attack him today. Okay? Someone didn't look for differences. How dare you not do this and that and the other? And I just made light of it. Hey man, do this. And he was so ready. And I'm like, and immediately he got it. It's kind of cool. Bring things to a place of playfulness. So the third one, though, is loving and forgiving. If you're walking in the light of God, you should be noticing how much more you're at peace. But where do you think the peace came from? Because you're more loving and forgiving. The opposite, would be you're still quick to judge and hold resentments. So where's your ratio if you had a scale? Yeah, 90% hold resentments, 10% forgiving. Well, that's not looking great. But am I getting to, it's 50-50. That's a good sign. How do I know I'm walking in the light of God? And by the way, who said that walking in the light of God is good? It's not only good, it's great, but it's also all that's real. Walking in darkness just means you've gone to sleep, you're unconscious. And being unconscious brings you more pain. So we want to walk in the light of God. And when you hear about Christians in the book of Revelation, they're the ones who are faithful to God will be marked and kept safe. That's what I'm describing. What does it mean in Revelation? Those who will be kept safe from tribulations. You're walking in the light of God. No matter what's happening, I'm centered on more peace. My words are not about conspiracies and fear and hate, but rather, and what can we do constructively? And I am more loving and forgiving. You know, it's very, these things, these positive pieces, these symptoms, they go hand in hand. Another one of them is, how do I know I'm walking in the light of God? I tend to walk around more often communing with God. I start and end every day with a moment with God. I start the day saying, okay, I'm going in. You know, I'm going in. God, be with me. Start each day with that. End each day. Wow, was that a trip? Jeez Louise, man. It's dysfunctional this and triggers that. But I abridged and I forgave and, you know, thank you, God. End the day with an attitude of gratitude. Look and own the positives. Yes! Oh my God! I had my first successful conversation with my ex ever. After I do, it all went to I don't and I won't and I'll never, you know, never will I, you know. But I just, wow, give thanks for the positives and then note and own. There were a few times today I probably could have taken the edge off of that a little bit. My words weren't quite right. My ability to rebound, you know, the forgiveness didn't bounce in quickly enough. So you see it, own it, shift it, turn it around. Also, if I'm walking in the light of God, I'm going to have a growing sense of integrity. I mean, I really will. I will become a person who's a bit more true, honest, clear. Integrity means to integrate. So it's not just about being honest. Jesus, if you read red letter Bible, those are the words they make red, just the words of Jesus himself. If you were to type in all the red letter portions of the New Testament and then did a search find for how many times Jesus was kind of rude, it's very rare that he was firm in a way that people could say, whoa, this guy's kind of intense. And do you know who it was he was speaking to? There's only one topic he ever addressed with what seemed to be intensity: hypocrisy. And he dressed that up, man. He went for it with words. When he saw the Pharisees, the people that are supposed to be leading the children of God home, but instead they were lying to them and so on and so on. He just said, you know, my Father is God, the God of love. Yours is the devil. Your father is a liar. And that's why you people, the leaders here, can't understand me, because I'm speaking love and all you know is fear and manipulation. Yeah, he landed it on him, man. He went for it. But he never judged them, strangely enough. It sounds like he is. He's not telling their souls that they're evil, which are made in God's image. He's telling their personalities, liars, you're hypocrites. You know there's a God, but you keep leading people away from that God. See, hypocrisy. Don't say this when you do that. Don't say you love God but hate your neighbor. Do you see? That's when he was being firm. It was all hypocrisy. Why? Because he had unresolved issues with hypocrisy? No. It's because it's the number one problem in mankind. Hypocrisy, that we know we're children of God and we don't act like it. The root, of evil is money. No. No matter what you land this on, it all comes back to hypocrisy. We don't act in accordance with who we really are. Any other topic, you can break it down. Liars or addicts or any other topic you want. They're all hypocrites, ultimately. because you're not being who you really are. You're living a hypocrisy. There's the obvious hypocrisies, yes. But deep down, everything is rooted in the spiritual hypocrisy of who we really are and how we act. You've never betrayed somebody knowing who you really are. You've never been hurt by another person in all your life or lifetimes if you knew who you were. It would just blow right off. The story I've, shared here and there about Jesus. Oh, terrible, he's beat up, and it all happened externally. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Wow. Look at the stuff they just did to him. No, forgive them. They know not what they do. Who was he talking about? Well, he's talking about the Pharisees and the people beating him up and the Roman soldiers being so rude and crude and all that. Forgive them, they know not what they do. And we hear it taught like, Father, please don't take this out on them. Please give them a break, as though God needed educated on forgiveness. So who's he talking to? Himself and us. Forgive them, they know not what they do. He's telling us. I know people have been rude to you. I know people have seemingly done this. But they've never done that while knowing who they are. So that means they were in a state of amnesia and schizophrenia. And you might not want to get all attached to people who are having a psychotic episode, seemingly being straightforward. Right? You know that. You know that if you have a loved one that's, mentally off, you wouldn't take it that personally if they did something, right? You feel sad, sorry for them. Oh, they say that, they blurt things out. I mean, if people's words are going to be offensive, you work on it. And if you don't, you'll come back and marry somebody with Tourette's. And they'll blurt out things that offend you, and then you'll have to work on it more directly. It's silly me. Sorry, but right? It's we have to face our stuff. And but when they offend me and they forgive them, they know not what they do. It's not them speaking. They have a disorder, let's call it. There's something going on, When someone's hurting you, they can't do that from the God self. They're doing it from the wounded self. And when they do it, believe it or not, what they're really saying is, if I do this, are you going to reinforce that it wasn't the real me doing it and help me find my light? Or are you going to react to it and confirm this is who I am, a jerk? So that means all of my interactions are really tests. When you die and you go to the other side, it's like, oh, God, that was good one. Good one, like some gauntlet or game show, and trick questions and, I knew the answer to that. That's what happens on the other side. Oh, geez, when you look at your contract. Mary, my former mother who was narcissistic, and she came back as him. Oh, that was so funny. Oh, I can't believe I missed that. It's so obvious when you're on the other side. And then they say, now, would you like to go back 5 more times to work on all these, or once, doing it all at once, which is really a great life, right? And some of us are like today going, I can't believe all the horrendous things that have happened to me in this lifetime. But somebody said, bring it on. Bring it on. When you did that? When you were plugged in going, I see it. And then they're going, we're going to send you in. Oh, I'm totally ready. I'm ready. Here we go, man. Yes. Don't react to my dad, and don't get offended by my mom, and who cares what they think of me, and so on. Yeah, he's going to cheat on me. Who cares? Because I get it. You're totally clear. And then just as they're sending you in, hold it. And they give you a shot of amnesia. And you come in going, why is everybody amnesia? I don't get it. Right? So bizarre. But that's exactly what happens. But why do they give you a shot? Because we co-created getting a shot so that we could be victims. Just say, hey, Do I know you? No. Get away from me. You're not giving me any shot. I don't want any covert activities. And then you'll come in and say, government's not going to tell me to get a shot. And there's another victim, So, jeez. So this particular step, integrity, also has to do with taking responsibility. If you're walking in the light of God, you're just going to know. Now, be careful. I'm not talking about you walking down the street of your life taking blame for everything. Oh, look, I guess I raised gas prices now too. Oh, my neighbor lost their job. God, how do I live with myself? You're just going to get depressed. Taking responsibility. At the very least, what I'm saying is just learning to say, this is us. Yeah, what are we thinking? What were we thinking to do this? Poverty and wow, what can we learn from the responsibility? You don't have to say, I did it, I blew it, I screwed it. We're all in this together. Just at least own our insanity, our misbehavings, how we forget who we are and act out. Yeah, but I don't act out as much as them. See, you've just split off. Separation will bring and breed more separation. Resist not evil means resist not responsibility. Don't fight it. It's okay. We all played a part. How can you put it on the altar of the mother's heart, the divine mother, the Holy Spirit's heart, to be released if you won't even own that you have some of that in your pockets? Empty your pockets onto the altar. Yeah, but I didn't do it. Shh. Just do it. Sometimes, No, I didn't do what that person did on TV, but I hated them for doing it. So I'm still playing a part. Another step is having a cleaner life. Less vulgarity, believe it or not. I mean, how do I know I'm walking in the light of God? Less vulgarity, but also less addictions. That doesn't mean that if I have an addiction, I'm worse than the person without it. Everybody's got an addiction. Okay? You believe that you look better when you brush your hair. What's the definition of an addiction? You think you're flawed and you do something to make up for it, compensate for it, which never works. You get up each day and brush your hair. You think you don't look good enough and you brush your hair and it didn't work. It didn't make you a holier person. So technically you have an addiction. But am I telling you to make a big deal about it? Of course not. Laugh. Please be addicted to wearing deodorant. Brushing your teeth and whatever, shower, But we all know that there are more dramatic, self-destructive forms of addiction. The more I walk in the light of God, the more these things fade. They do. They just seem to, that just has less of a grip as it once did. But it isn't just addiction, it's even darkness and vulgarity. I'm not saying that there's a certain thing that is vulgar. Oh, smoking definitely is vulgar. Non-smokers are definitely not vulgar. I'm not putting any kind of qualification to it like that. Just the vulgarity that I have hatred and it comes out as grossness. Whether it's bathroom humor or put-downs of people. And I'm not saying don't have a sense of humor. But is the sense of humor helping us laugh at our silliness, or is it a way to degrade somebody? So that kind of stuff, it does fade. It really does. I've known people who were very kind of condescending, rude, and I noticed that over their life, they stopped doing it. Like one guy I know, hadn't talked to him for like 10 years. It was like switch on, switch off. That was not there anymore. And I sat and observed and I thought, I knew this guy when we were kids, kind of, and young men. And he was always on people, constantly gross, critical, vulgar put downs. And he doesn't do any of that. It's like gone. Whatever it was that switched on off for him, I was really grateful that it changed. And I hope he sees it and owns it and, so on. And let me add this, that if I say addiction falls away and you're still participating in a certain addiction, that does not mean you're not walking in the light of God. You are. These things block you from seeing it. But Also, you might have this one and none of the others. And who am I to say, oh, how'd you do with that test we took at service today? He named X number of things. I only had one. Well, yeah, I still have 5. I should be depressed. That's not how you want them to feel. Yeah, I still have some of those, even if you only have one. Yeah, I can see where I still have some of that. See, that bridges with people. And if the person were to say, oh man, I have so much work to do. I've got several of those things. It doesn't matter. The more you consciously walk in the light of God, they'll fall away. You don't like that it's there? Guess what? Start walking in the light of God more, and they'll fall away. You might be listening to thrasher music that's all about hate and hate everybody. You might find that interest falls away. But it's not like God says, oh my God, I can't listen to that. It's offensive. God isn't affected by it. Weak people, humans, are. Everything seems dramatic. And man, we could be immune to it all. So I could listen to certain music, say Black Sabbath, and I could hear beyond the criticisms and the pounding music that sounds heavy and dark because I was going for the lyrics and it was there. But can I also look beyond people's external behaviors and find light? That's more important than what I'm doing with song lyrics. When we're walking in the light of God, we feel peace, we feel clean, and stuff just falls away, stuff that seemed to have such an effect. And the next item is that we feel more immune to stuff of life, clearly overlapping with some others, but we feel immune to the stuff of life. Like, wow, this often happens. People on the spiritual path often are the black sheep in their families. It's very common. Light workers, and then you have all this, wolves in the den kind of biting at you, and you're like, what did I do? I'm a deer. And they're like, yeah. We happen to have you on the menu, could this possibly be? Look in the pond at yourself, your little doe eyes, we're like, it's just kind of our nature, man, go easy on us. We're going to eat you. So, that this world brings that about, but why does the Bible say the lion will lie with the lamb? It's because when we stop judging, hating, walking in the darkness, unconscious, there won't need to be victimizers and nor victims. The duality falls away. I am that I am. Really, because so am I. Wow, great to see you, I am. Great to see you too, I am. There can be no thought of what I'm going to do to you, no defenses about what they might do to you. You're walking in the light, so you're more immune to the stuff of this world. Someone doesn't like you, it just doesn't matter. It's not becoming thick-skinned, and it's not about becoming cold to the world. It's that you know something they don't know. It's, like that. It's like, wow. If I've only got $10 and you steal it, you've taken all that I thought I had, and it offends me. But if I just won the lottery and you steal $10, I'm like, who cares? I'm on my way to cash my check. I have $50 million. Why? Because you're in touch with a knowingness of how much you have. $10 didn't matter so much, right? It's the same. So you don't love me anymore. We were partners and you fell out of love with me. I'm so in love with everything, I just don't care. I wouldn't say that to them. Bridge. Oh, this is going to be very challenging. Yes. And but I'm gonna try to just make it. You don't let them see all the celebration. You bridge. Namaste, beloved. Namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. Me too. And inside it's like, free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. I am free at last. Have that. Honestly. So if I were naming 5 symptoms, I would say 7 symptoms, I think I did. I would say those are 7. But just real quick, a few more. Let me ramp it up to 12. When you're walking in the light of God, you will feel, I said, more immune, similar to immune. You will feel more protected. Similar to immune, but you feel more guided and protected. Like you're doing things there's more of a knowingness to them. The job you choose, what house you choose, what partnerships. There's just more of a I'm walking in this, column of light. And again, Jesus is saying, whatever you thought you're doing to me, I'm in this, it's like I'm in another dimension. You just think you see me and spit upon me, but I'm in another dimension. I'm in a different reality. Yes, you're spitting on a hologram, which is kind of weird. You think you see me and you're spitting on me, kicking me, hating me, stealing from me, divorcing me with hurtful intention. I'm not even there. That's a hologram. If I walked into a room and you were sitting there watching one of your soaps and one of the mean guys are on the tube, the guy that, the JR of today or whatever it might be equivalent, and you're like, I hate you, spit on your TV, I would go, wow. Like, wow. You got to Windex that TV later, first of all. Second of all, you're actually all upset. It's a character. I hate that actor because they played so-and-so. You said they played, pretended, and you're so into it, you hated them. It's kind of weird. And that's, in a way, how God sees us. What are you people doing? We're hating them. Who? Them. You're watching TV. This is a hologram, and they're just reflections of yourself. That's all it is. So you're going to feel more guided, more protected. It just goes with the territory. But similar to guided, I want to say, you're also going to feel inspired and excited. The more we walk in the light of God, there's just this, yes, yes, I can't wait to do this and that. It's not like, work, God, hate going to work. And then I get to come home to my partner who I'm stuck with till death do us part. I hope this works out and they go first so that I could have some time where things might be happier for me, That's not inspired. That's not walking in the light of God. You're hurt. I get it. I'm sorry, that you're hurting so much. But there's another way of looking at this. How do I find that? Mainly through forgiveness. I'm not forgiving them. I know. I can see that. So you'll know, inspired. There's an excitement that goes with it. I feel like when you're walking in the light of God, more often, beings, especially children and animals, like you. They're drawn to you. Just the other day, a couple of the board members and I, we were getting something to eat. And there was this little girl. And she was kind of, doing whatever. It looked like her grandma or mom or whatever was taking care of her. And, and the little girl was getting her things and putting them in the trash and all that. I don't know how old she was, 6-ish, 7-ish or whatever. But she kept looking over at me, the kid, and it's like, and I'd smile, whatever. I'm not trying to evoke the kid liking me. I could just tell the kid, was seeing something and was shy and smiling and waving. And then the mom or whatever she was would look over at me, and I would act like I wouldn't know. But this went on a little bit, and then the little girl was leaving and stopped at the door and turned and waved again, And I said, bye, honey, bye. And then the one with her said, she doesn't do that. She doesn't contact or connect with anybody. And she was acting like she knew me. Now she leaves and the board members look at me like, what was that? And it was about, she clearly saw Jesus before her. And, I played it up and they're like, oh yeah, whatever. Remember, we're on the board with you. We know you. No, they didn't say that. But it's true. Like St. Francis, the reason animals could come to him is because they felt no threat. They didn't just feel no threat. They felt the opposite. Sanctuary. Your presence is safe. I've had so many thousands of people over the years tell me, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I've never told anybody. Have you heard that before? I've never told anybody. Why? Because you're holding space. Walking in the light of God, it's like you're like a satellite of that light. You go into this world, you're holding that space. People sense it. They entrust things to you. They like you. They love you. But that's not a word they would use. It seems too strange and foreign. But they're seeing something in you, which is good. It's your light. But they're also seeing something of themselves in you. Our job is to remind them, yes, it's good that you see that. Like the little girl. I didn't just say, yeah, right? Kind of Jesus-y looking, right? You know what I did? I said, bye-bye, honey. Bye, princess. And I'm using playful words that a child would, oh, he sees me. Little words that might work for that person. It might not be for somebody else. But, for somebody else, it might be, hey, man, how you doing? Yeah. A guy kind of conversation where you just both grunt at each other. Another sign, I'll do 2 more, and that should be 12. So, abundance, health, wealth, wisdom. When you walk in the light of God, you should see abundance. But I want to clarify, that doesn't mean you should go, oh, great. My checkbook says empty, which does, it's got an E, and that doesn't mean enough. That's empty, So that means I'm not walking in the light of guys. It's a weak link. For you, it could be finance. For somebody else, it could be something else in these 12 things I'm naming. Don't use these things to attack yourself. Use it to evoke greater deservability. So my weak link, what if I was a priest or a nun in another lifetime and I took vows of poverty? But this lifetime, man, I feel like I'm walking in the light of God. I feel inspired, creative, aware. My words start cleaning up. My behaviors start cleaning up. But I still don't have a lot of money, so I'm not spiritual. That's not the case at all. It's just that was a weak link. You got these heavy vows. No, money, bad, and all this kind of stuff. And, as you recognize your deservability, this too shall pass. Be grateful for what you have, and more will be given. If you can only say 4 of these things are kind of right for you, true for you, be right with them, do good with them, and work on the others. Fine, work on them. But more will be given. It's only a matter of time. It's who we are. All these things and more. One more. How do I know I'm walking in the light of God? Because you'll call it that. That's a weird thing to say, but I'm saying it. You'll call it that. You won't avoid the word God. You won't say, I'm walking in the light of recovery. Say recovery, but also the light of God. Own it, please. Call it that. If you're ashamed of God because of what religion has done to God, you have some healing to do. You're not a bad person. You just have that one weak area and you're going to need to work on it. That one or more weak areas, but that's it. Please call it that. There's these new age teachers that have millions of viewers and students that won't use the word God. No, we're just activating a new technology. Technology? What are you, Atlantean? Look what the technology did for them. Where's God in this? The Atlanteans were destroyed because technology, yes, God, no. Where's God? Call it that. Well, I'm a certain thought system and we don't use the word God. We just use higher self. Okay? If you were so into your higher self, you wouldn't be triggered by the word God. You'd go, okay, God. It's like sunflower. No big deal. You're triggered. You're joining certain thought systems because it's convenient, because it doesn't use the word God. I'm not into God. I'm into self-help. Yourself is the one that got you into this mess. You know what self-help is? I listen to myself and I need help. Sorry, man. So there it is. Walking in the light of God. I pray, I start and end my day with God. I walk through the house, and sing praises to God. Whether it's like King David, in his kingdom. He just got so into a state of ecstasy. He's walking through the kingdom, throwing off his clothes, and they're like, you're supposed to be a king. There's a certain way to behave. No, that's a certain human way to behave. I'm not inhuman right now. In a state of humanness, I'm in a state of divinity. I feel God. Clothes feel like a burden because I'm feeling so, don't you dare take your clothes off. Don't, it's like, it's not a judgment of my clothes. It's more like symbolic, like I know nothing but God. Having skin would feel foreign. Oh my God, I do feel it, And it was funny, that little girl at that place, I watched her, and I'm having a conversation with the board members, but I see things. And corner of my eye, I see it's the weirdest thing and coolest thing. She goes over, she opens the door of the trash can, what's that? It's like, ooh, that's new. What? She's holding the trash still, experimenting, exploring, like, She eventually looks in the trash can. What is this? And I'm just watching this whole, like, she's marveling at this whole thing. Eventually, she drops the trash. All this is slow, pensive, amazing, very methodical. She turns, back to her seat. I'm like, just hilarious. I am in the thought process now. Now I'm back into God, or, whatever. And I'm just like, wow, like, yeah, like, that's just so cool. Being in the light, walking in the light of God. And when you're not walking in the light of God, as the critics said to that band, Satan's pulling your strings. But really, if you're not walking in the light of God, you have forgotten who you are. If you're not walking in the light of God, you're walking in darkness. If you're not conscious, you're asleep. But this last one, please, please, be excited about saying God. You can say the Holy Spirit, you can say the Divine Mother, you can say Jesus or the Christ. But at least one of those, own its presence in your life and call it that. Call it that. I'm not saying obsessively that you should. I'm not saying you should go to a supermarket and tell the person that's 50 cents change, oh, thank you, Divine Father, Mother God, Om Mani Padme. I'm not saying it has to be so constantly blatant, but more and more, walk in the light of God. Revelation's telling you the children of God will be marked, and they will be, and it says in their foreheads, they'll be marked. What it means is this is opening and nothing can distract you from it anymore. I know who I am. I'm walking in the light of God and I'm not interested in anything else. And it's not I'm avoiding my addictions. I'm avoiding bad words. I have a rubber band to snap every time I say a naughty word. Those things are fine if you want to do them, but it's that it's not in me. It's just not there. When I was a kid and people would say vulgar jokes, they would know that if they looked at me, I'd just be like, and they go, oh man, humor is lost on this guy. Because it wasn't there. I just wasn't interested in vulgarity. I wasn't like, oh my God, evil people. I was just like, like, that's weird. It would just seem foreign to me. Let's be excited about walking in the light of God. Let's call it that. Please take a few centering breaths. Tune into what you've heard today. This is no linear nor shallow dialogue. This is us reflecting our journey home. What did you hear that made sense? If anything didn't resonate or make sense, just let it go. Like we should anything else in life. Just let it go. Not my thing. But the things that did make sense, own them as you, as your beliefs, as your knowingness. This is not what I heard at a service. This is a hologram, all of it. It's not what Michael taught. It's a hologram of what? My divinity coming forward. If Michael said anything that I liked or that was helpful, it's me being ready to hear that. Right on. I'm so grateful. It's all about love. Walking in the light of God. For the next half minute, just tune into that idea. What does it mean to walk in the light of God? Could you add to the list of 12 items? Is there another item? It's great. What does it mean to walk in the light of God? I never said you acted perfectly. I never said you wore a certain color. It was not about external rituals. It was more about how you would feel immune, peaceful, non-attached and addicted, non-aggressive and hateful. I feel inspired, alive. Walking in the light of God. You don't have to worry about when, if, how you ascend. Walk in the light of God and it's guaranteed. You don't have to worry about some sickness you might have and you think you're supposed to fix. Walk in the light of God. The rest will take care of itself. And when you're walking in the light of God, tune into the fact that the whole world is watching and learning that they too are deserving of that life. There's something about you that's teaching them just by your presence. And when you slip, one of the points was you forgive yourself. You bounce back more quickly. You're immune even to your own head judging yourself. And remember, say no to conflict outside and inside. When you get conflicted and having doubts, just say to yourself, does this bring me the peace that I am? I am the presence of God. Yes, I sometimes forget, but I am. God has told me so. I am the presence of God. Let me be an example of that presence even in this world. Let that all fade. Feel a sense of gratitude for this day, for this sharing, and feel prepared to be that light. I'm walking in the light of God. Why and how? Because I am the light of God. Even seemingly in a dark place, I am the light of God. Now that presence, if you don't mind, please, just for 1 minute, the males or lower voices, you'll repeat, holy, 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 love. The last time it'll be the word love. You're holding presence. You're saying, I'm the seeming in the world of duality, the masculine, feminine. I'm going to hold space for you. I'm going to be safe for you. Feminine. They're holding space. Holy. What kind of space? Holiness. I will do my best to hold presence, to be safe for you. And the gals will sing out, love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, holy, love. Everybody together. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy love. Keep going. Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, holy love. Again. Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, holy love. Take a deep breath and sound. Oh. Keep it going. Oh. Take a breath when you need. Keep it going. We're taking what we learned today. We're taking the prayer we just sang, and we're using vibration, sound, tone to send it to the whole world, all troubled areas of the world, all world leaders, religious and political, to all beings, critters, throughout all time, through the whole universe, the sound of God, the presence of God. I am the Christ on earth. I will to be as God created me to be. And so it is. Thank you. Just lightly stretch, relax. Thank you for sharing your time with us this morning. We're going to do our offering and our closing song, or closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. I hope I addressed most or all of the topics brought up: relationships, deception, and forgiveness, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, triggers. Be as generous as you can be. We appreciate it.